Unit 2, Lesson 8, Practice Problems. The relationship between a distance in yards y and the same distance in miles m is described by the equation y is equal to 1760 m. Find measurements in yards and miles for distances by completing the table. What that equation means is that for every mile there's 1,760 yards. So we can write that right in the first spot here in column 1, 1760. Now I have to do 1760 times 5, 1760, and I get 8,800. Now remember, on these last two, we're working backwards. So instead of multiplying by 1760, we divide by 1760. So I do 3,520 divided by 1760, and I get 2. And then 17,600 divided by 1760 is 10, because it's just the same number with a 0 added to it, so that's 10. Now it states, is there a proportional relationship between a measurement in yards and a measurement in miles for the same distance? Explain why or why not. There is, because we have the yards is 1760 m. So that's the same thing as in the form y is equal to kx, just we have different variables. Your constant of proportionality that never changes is that each mile is 1,760 yards. So that is y. It is in the form of y equals kx. Now 2, it says decide whether or not each equation represents a proportional relationship. And we're doing this not by filling in a table, but just looking at the equation. Which ones have the form that can fit y is equal to kx? Our first one is the remaining length L of a 120-inch rope after x inches have been cut off. So we have 120 minus x equals L. We have a subtraction sign there. In y equals kx, we never add or subtract anything. If we need to look at it differently, we also could say L is equal to 120 minus x. That is not in the form y equals a number times x. We have that 120 in there that's, in addition to the negative x. So not proportional. Number 2, the total cost T after 8% sales tax is added to an item's price. That is 1.08p equals T. Now I'm going to flip this around just so I can see it a little differently. T is equal to 1.08p. So I can see that that's in the form of y equals kx, where my k value is 1.08. It's 100% of the cost plus the 0.08. That's our 8% sales tax. That's being added on. So k is 1.08. Part C. The number of marbles each sister gets x when m marbles are shared equally among 4 sisters. X is equal to m over 4. Now, even though we don't have the letter y here, we can think of this as y is equal to 1/4 x. That's in that same similar fashion. We have x is equal to 1/4 m. Remember, dividing by 4th is the same thing as multiplying by a 4th, so that is in the correct form. Yes, that is proportional, and k equals 1/4. And our last one, the volume V of a rectangular prism whose height is 12 centimeters and base is a square with side lengths s, the volume is 12s squared. So since we have the squared terminology, its area is never a proportional relationship. So we have the area times 12, so that is not proportional in P. It's not in the form of y equal to kx. Let's go ahead and look at number 3. It says use the equation y is equal to 5 over 2x to complete the table. Is y proportional to x, and y? Explain why or why not. So this one, it clearly is. It's in the form y equals kx. So our constant of proportionality in this case is 5 over 2. Let's go ahead and use that to complete the table. We have 5 over 2 times 2. Well, that same thing as 10 over 2. Or you can just think it as 2 goes into itself, so all you have is 5. The next one, we have 5 over 2 times 3. That same thing as 15 over 2. We'll just leave it like that. You could call it 7.5. And then we have 5 over 2 times 6. In that case, our 2 goes into the 6 evenly 3 times, and 5 times 3 is 15. And yes, that is proportional because it's in the form y equals kx. B says use the equation y is equal to 3.2x plus 5 to complete the table, and is y proportional to x? and why. Explain why or why not. In this case, we know it is not because it's not in the form of y equals kx. We have this added 5 here, which changes that proportionality statement. But we're going to go ahead and complete the table. It's going to be, for the first one, it's going to be, I'm going to write this, 3.2x plus 5. So I'm taking that x value, multiplying by 3.2, and then adding 5. 3.2 plus 5 is going to be 8.2. 2 times 3.2 is going to be 6.4. 6.4 plus 5 would be 11.4. And then 4 times 3.2 is going to be 12.8. 12.8 plus 5 is going to be 17.5, or 17.8. But that is a not proportional, not in the right form. And number 4, to transmit information on the internet, large files are broken into packets of smaller sizes. Each packet has 1,500 bytes of information. An equation relating packets to bytes of information is given by B is equal to 1,500p, where P represents the number of packets and B represents the number of bytes of information. How many packets would be needed to transmit 30,000 bytes of information? So our B, the bytes, is 30,000. So in order to get P, how many packets that is, I take the 30,000 and I divide by 1,500. So we got 30,000 divided by 1,500. We cancel out the zeros. We got 300 divided by 15. And 300 divided by 15 is 20. It takes 20 packets. Our next one says, how much information could be transmitted in 30,000 packets? So this is our P value. We're simply substituting that number in for P in our equation above. So the number of bytes is going to be 1,500 times 30,000 in this case. That's 45 million.